There is something buried beneath our feet, something the ancients knew, but we have forgotten. In recent years, with the support of innovative technologies, we have managed to map a network of traces and structures that stretch along the Peabiru. But the findings go beyond what technology can show us. As the team moves forward, facing the obstacles of the forest, the discoveries begin to become more evident. Marks, stone structures, constructions that suggest a well-organized society with advanced knowledge of astronomy and engineering.
The path of Peabiru is still alive because every day it is walked by some of the ancient peoples, such as the indigenous people. So when we talk about the path of Peabiru, it's as if it were just a story from the past, but it is still alive. It is a path that it was more often traveled by the sky than by the earth because it is guided by stars, constellations, the cosmos that led these peoples. And in a very spiritual way, we cannot study the Peabiru only by the routes they traveled, but rather by its spiritual and sacred aspect.
It's truly impressive, the deep knowledge, the refined technique, the entire comprehensive methodology they have, how they carefully manage the land, the vast forest, the flowing waters, all of it. How was it that back then, without information, without technology, they possessed all this knowledge? Even when it comes to astronomy, the alignment, the points where the stones were placed and worked in such a way that you could draw an analogy with the stars, the sun, the moon, and especially with the harvest, right? So it's very, let's say, it's very intriguing to know how a civilization that supposedly had no knowledge at all, let alone any means, managed to build this entire complex of branches off of pathways with great difficulty, because working with stone is not easy, especially in such a challenging terrain, in such a complicated geography as the mountains, and especially how did they cross the water, right? I mean, the boat, or what kind of vehicle did they have, not just for the water, but also for heavier work, more elaborate tasks like silos or other constructions, ruins that we find. So really, it's simply surreal. Nowadays, even today, it's hard just to think about doing all that with today's technology. It's difficult, almost impossible in terms of time, logistics, and let's say physical conditioning. Now, imagine thousands of years ago.
Every trace, no matter how small, offers essential clues about the ancient inhabitants of these lands. We are recovering pieces of history that reveal to us how these peoples who lived before us understood the earth and the world around them.
The Peabiru Trail has various scientific confirmations, such as dating of stones and some artifacts found in caves or even along the path. These datings range from 1,000 to 3,000 years. The path was used by various tribes, various ethnic groups, according to what is known from more recent history, but it is much older than that. We have evidence that it is much older than colonial Brazil. So it dates back 2,000 or 3,000 years before Christ, according to all the material that has been found, all the evidence. So various peoples occupied this path. I would even say that before the indigenous peoples existed, this path had already been, already existed, it had already been built, and with that, the inhabitants who arrived, the peoples, the various tribes that were created, and others who came later, ended up using this path because they themselves would say that their ancestors, had already spoken about this vast network of roads, and that there are many peoples, not just here in Brazil, but on other continents as well, various ethnic groups. And even before them, we have indications that the Aztecs made extensive use of it, especially in the Amazon region.
Every fragment of stone, every piece of pottery has a story to tell. And our work here is to understand that story from the material we find. The goal is to conduct analyses in partnership with the relevant authorities, and to bring to light the reality of the dates and civilizations that travel this route. Research is the link that connects the past to the present, but it's only through research and analysis that we can truly make connections and relationships with time and space. And it is precisely through these studies that we arrive at surprising results.
The goal of archaeologists in these studies is to be able to piece together this puzzle using all the material traces we have. So by conducting this survey, we can discover what this route was used for, who used it, what their objectives were, and what kind of cultural exchange materials they had there. So this really helps to add a lot to the history of Brazil and the other countries that traveled along this route. At this stage of field work we're in, it's extremely important for us to conduct laboratory analysis so we can advance our research.
What lies behind these stones? What did these civilizations know about the world that we have lost over the centuries? Research leads us to a point of no return, even though finding traces is so challenging.
So here we get into the issue of the processes that took place after colonization, right? Which were processes that brought about a very significant change in the landscape, mainly because of the way prehistoric societies interacted with nature compared to how we interact with nature today. It's a different kind of occupation. We're talking about a situation where there's a major change in the vegetation cover, a major change in how the land is used, from the raising of large animals, right, livestock farming, to modern agriculture and mechanization. All these processes end up erasing the old traces of indigenous path. However, they can't erase everything. Some elements in the landscape are still able to preserve these details.
Our mission is precisely to find these pieces of evidence that are still preserved.
You can see here, look, there are some things that are covered with moss.
Yes.
We know there are marks on these stones. There are carvings.
Yeah.
Those are also clues, but you would need to clean it, right? So we can see these symbols here, which is a really strong clue.
Which we've already found in several places we've been, right?
Exactly.
Inscriptions, symbols that mark these points along the Peabiru trail.
Yes.
Well, let's measure here first where the stones are visible, right? How much is it, Nanda?
It's showing around 50 centimeters.
Okay, but the road is indeed much wider, right?
Yeah, this is just what's visible, right? The other Peabiru trail we took when we went down there at the spot, at the plateau, at plateau 900, same thing. It's a very narrow path, but we know it's actually much wider. It must be at least 1.40 meters, but it's a trail that isn't maintained, right? People don't come through here.
It got buried, right? A lot of brush came down.
Yeah.
Right? Dirt. So we will. Here it's 50 centimeters. We can measure a slightly longer stretch, just so we can see where it...
Take it here, look from the trees, because then we'll have an idea. The trees, especially the thinner ones, we know they don't have deep roots. Okay? Here, look, it goes even further. If I take it here, look, it'll go roughly in that direction over there. Just here, we've already got 2.20 meters.
Oh.
Okay.
So it's about this much here, right?
Yeah.
If we were to clear this up to take a look, right, we'd see that the road is actually much wider.
Yes, if we were to clean it up, do some maintenance, for sure.
It is possible to explore in a sustainable way without having to harm nature, without having to affect it in any way, because the Peabiru trail is very exposed and there are only small sections that are still under vegetation or buried by some kind of weather event. But yes, there is a distinct possibility that this profound revelation could indeed come to light and unequivocally show us astonishing surprises that no human being alive today could ever have truly imagined. Technology has greatly aided the discovery of Peabiru, especially LiDAR, where the laser scans the area, removes the vegetation, and leaves only the surface model. With this, it becomes easier for us to visualize all the paths, all the branches of the Peabiru in every direction, especially from Brazil toward the Andes and to other continents.
Modern technology has brought us this far, but it is truly only the very tip of the immense iceberg. What we are about to uncover goes beyond the history we know.
In the case of the Peabiru Trail, we see the use of different materials in different regions. The local use of materials is always a very carefully considered choice. We have a material popularly known as malacacheta, which is a type of rock widely used for paving the Peabiru Trail in the southern region of the state of São Paulo, in places like San Lorenzo da Serra and Juquitiba. So we have this material, and it's a stone with interesting physical properties. It has a certain thermal capacity. It has the ability not to heat up. So it always provides a cooler surface, making it possible to walk barefoot on the trail, even when it's exposed to the sun. And the choices, regarding the construction of the Peabiru Trail are related to the region.
All pyramids, the ones built, were covered inside and out with malachite. And every malachite has a signature. Every rock has a unique signature indicating where it was extracted from, its region, continent, and so on, just like oil and other materials. And we discovered that scientists, upon evaluation, found that the malachite present in all the pyramids, in all the internal and external coverings, came from Brazil. All of them. All of them came from Brazil. So we started to research where this malachite deposit could be found. So we researched for 2 years, and 8 kilometers from there we found the malachite deposits. There are several tunnels. There are hundreds and hundreds of tunnels that you can walk through big enough to fit a car inside, where people used to extract malachite and send it to other continents. Even these mini silos contain malachite. So that means that always in pre-colonial or pre-diluvian Brazil, this malachite is dated to at least 8,000 to 11,000 years ago, right? That's when the pyramids were built, and their coverings. So it has been scientifically proven that the malachite found in the pyramids is Brazilian, and we found its deposit.
As the team moves forward, what seemed to be a simple passageway reveals itself as a testament to ancient wisdom. The Peabiru Trail was much more than just a route. It was an engineering feat designed to connect cultures and overcome the very challenges of nature itself.
The type of material that was chosen shows that it was intentional. And this intentionality in the construction of the path shows that it goes against the logic of the local nature. No matter how strong the rains are in pushing rocks, they cannot sculpt rocks, shape them, and set them precisely in place to form a path.
The architectural similarities found at various points along the path are also impressive, such as construction patterns reminiscent of the Inca style and artifacts similar to those found in Peru and other Andean regions. This suggests that there was significant interaction between these cultures and a continuous exchange of resources and knowledge. For centuries, the history of Brazil has been constructed from a Eurocentric perspective. The discovery of the Peabiru Trail and evidence of a sophisticated and organized society challenged this view.
Since this trail is transcontinental, we can find materials from Peru here in Brazil and vice versa, because they engaged in cultural exchanges along these routes. We have various metal artifacts there that were made through these exchanges, including Inca materials, probably some Aztec items as well. And we have materials from Brazil, Paraguay, from several South American countries mainly.
But we also understand that these ancient routes may be much, much older, because the well-established paths we have discovered not only in Brazil but across various other continents were continuously used by one civilization after another throughout history. So we are trying to reconstruct this enigmatic context with what we are now discovering through these new findings, right, with this technology. And we've also started to access several other places that are still quite remote, inhospitable locations that are hard to reach. which we began to explore and where we found some rather surprising new evidence.
In Campos, there are many challenging moments, but also moments of incredible discoveries. And each new discovery brings this sense of accomplishment. These are spontaneous moments of discovery that happen in an exciting way and make this mission worthwhile.
Look here, you can see there are some spots with reinforcement. Check this out. This here is stone.
Yeah.
They built a side retaining wall.
So we can notice that this path is a bit narrower than some of the others we've been on, which are wider, right? The branches actually, right?
Exactly. But then you see, look, as we go uphill, we've already noticed in other places that they do this. They alternate the stones as if there's already a map showing you where to step so you can climb up more easily.
Exactly. And here we can see that the whole path is uphill and they really use the stones at these points. And then we can see this alternating, right?
Exactly.
And beyond the impressive engineering required to build all these trails show patterns that align with the constellations. These alignments indicate that the builders of the Peabiru path had a complex understanding of how celestial movements influence daily life, planting and harvesting cycles, and even spiritual ceremonies.
These people would also transform themselves along the way. They would connect with nature, with everything nature had to offer. And the sky was always the guide.
One thing is certain, the path is there for everyone to see. And every time you walk it, this path here in Garuba, you leave one way and come back another. It's something like that. It's really not just something physical, but also metaphysical.
All this knowledge is essential for building our history. These peoples mastered the cycles of nature and the preservation of this entire ecosystem. An extremely important lesson, especially nowadays, when Brazil and the world are facing climate change and environmental challenges.
There was harmony and there was none of the theft, corruption, or dishonesty that exists today. So I believe it was a very advanced civilization with truly surreal knowledge. And I think that, in my opinion, all that knowledge, that harmony, the mathematical precision of everything they did, really, it's something to admire. And how wonderful it would be if today's population, today's generation, had the same nobility and the same dedication and effort as that civilization that built all these wonders and the entire Peabiru. It would be really great if that happened. Everything I've witnessed, everything we've found here, inspires and motivates me even more to keep discovering more and more, because what we see here is just the tip of the iceberg. We have so much more, and every day the thirst for knowledge just grows stronger. So I feel really motivated. Every discovery, every encounter, every photo, every path we come across, every underground silo feels like a gift, a blessing from God, a blessing from the gods. I don't know, it's a gift for us and a legacy that we can leave for future generations.
Our team is mapping out the Peabiru Trail and trying to uncover the logic behind its branches and connections between states, countries, and continents. But for now, not everything has answers. Some findings, like this archaeological site in Mato Grosso do Sul, are still a mystery.
These discs, which are called discoids, these stone artifacts, they're impressive because they date back thousands of years. They have already been studied in the United States by several scientists, and they have, well, we don't have the technology nowadays to make this kind of material, this discoid shape. So on, they also contain minerals that aren't found on Earth, so they have minerals that may have come from meteorites. They are made with a technology that we don't know yet up to now and they simply appear embedded inside other rocks. You break the rocks and they show up there, but there are thousands of them here in the region. There's a theory that ancient civilizations used it as a form of currency, but that's just a theory.
While theories make the journey even more mystical, it's the evidence that truly gives us answers and finally allows us to draw conclusions.
Ancestral knowledge goes far beyond what we imagine. I believe that nowadays mankind is making a big mistake in thinking that it is at its peak. I actually have an opposing opinion, because nowadays we're not taking care of the planet the way we should. So those ancient peoples had a much greater love and connection with the earth.
I would say that Peabiru is the key to the knowledge humanity needs. It's the missing link between man and creation, so to speak. We have a saying among us, discovering the past to understand the future. So the relationship with Peabiru, all the range of information, all the knowledge will really help us to have a prediction or an idea about the future in relation to what it was, what it's for, and what the path of Peabiru will still become, regarding the discoveries that are yet to be revealed and what has already been discovered recently.
I believe we have a lot to learn from them in terms of attitudes. I believe that we will indeed rewrite history, because I think that for us to walk the best path, we need to seek the truth that will lead us to the right path, which is to become more conscious as human beings.
For me, the path of Peabiru represents a school, a great universal school, where one can dive into the depths of the past and bring to light revelations that will change the future.
What will come next? Only time and research will tell. But what we already know is that Peabiru holds secrets that deserve to be uncovered.